Okay, it's absolutely horrible day out here. Blown a gale, been raining off and on all day. So I've decided I'm going to treat myself to a nice little job in the workshop. I got a message back in the summer from a spoon carver off of Instagram about making a little sign. And I thought, that sounds like a nice little job. And I may be able to exchange my little bit of work for maybe a nice spoon or something. So, all he wants is hand-carved spoons written on a piece of wood. Got a nice piece of oak here. And one of my favourite ways to personalise anything is just to carve a little bit of something on it. So carving the number, the year on a gate or something like that. It's a really simple thing to do. It doesn't take very long and adds that little bit of detail to it. Obviously this is just for this. So I've got this is a bit of laminated oak here. A bit of kind of what I kind of call furniture board, I suppose. There's no knots in it, so it's quite nice and easy to carve. So I'm going to cut myself off a piece of this. And we're going to mount this on there and we can look at carving it out. Dead simple to do, nothing too technical. I will say when I do it, so I'm printing it out on Word, I'm carving, you kind of want letters with serifs on it, so like the little kind of flicky bits. Just gives you a chisel somewhere to start and finish, and just feels like it's made for carving really, probably was. But yeah, we'll do that, get it oiled up, and it can be another thing done and dusted, another job that I have kind of hanging over me, done. And it's a nice easy one. I'm even going to put the heating on in the workshop because it is cold and I want to be warm. And I've got this new heating system and I really want to try it out. So. We're going to sand it up a bit before we stick it on. Nice and smooth then. I've got some 120 grit, it looks like, in the sander. We'll sand the edges up. I think I might chamfer a nice corner around it as well. Okay, in a couple of minutes we have made ourselves a nice little board. Okay, so on the one side I have just used the sander and taken off what we call the aris, which is the sharp edge. And then on the other side I've used the router and made a nice bevel around it. So it should give us a nice kind of, just makes it feel a bit more finished really. So we'll go for that. It's a nice bit of oak, it's just 3 pieces of oak joined together. Now we need to arrange this where we want it. I guess I want it in the middle, don't I? So let's get a ruler. So I've set myself up some witness marks to lay this out, and then the way I'm going to put it on there, dead simple, with a bit of photo mount. And what that means is I will carve away the black, and then afterwards just use some white spirits to take off the gluey residue and sand it down. That's the plan. When I first did this, I did it with carpet adhesive, and it took me longer to take the adhesive off than it did to carve the piece. So you live and learn. Do this in a well-ventilated area, not a closed workshop with a heater running like this one. So we've applied some adhesive to the wood, and we will do the same to the paper. Just making sure it's where the writing is really. I'm not too worried about sticking the whole thing down. Then we'll let that go tacky for a bit. And while we're doing that, we'll turn the can upside down. I'll spray it outside now until it goes clear so that the glue doesn't bung up the end. Now what we don't want, and what I've done is it should be 28 down from these longer letters. Looks good enough like that. Camera in the wrong place. Looks good enough like that. Let's not bother carving it. Let's make ourselves a little board to hold it, which means we can turn it round should we need to, if it's just held in by wedges. beautiful thing with one of these Holy worktops now is you can just clamp wherever you like. Works really well. Obviously, if you've got an older style workbench, you can cover it with bench dogs and things like that. And then a vise. But for me, this works really well, as I use quite a mix of power and hand tools. Okay. Cool. So let's get some tools out. Justify all those carving chisels to my wife. And we can start to carve this. There's a massive temptation when you're doing something like this. So you see it's like a V. You know, that's what we're going to chisel out. We're going to chisel out a channel in each one of these letters. So there's a very big temptation to think that you're going to need the V tool. And actually, we don't need that. I'm not going for it. It's because when you're using the V tool like that, it will kind of leave one side of the wood rough. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of split each letter in half. So the first thing we'll do, we'll do an easy letter to start with. So we'll do that capital H to start with. And we're going to use what I call an elongi chisel. So it's like a straight chisel, but double beveled. It's quite a very sharp point. All these tools, I'm going to say it once now, they have to be really sharp, especially working in oak. And I want to mark the centre of this. I have got a bigger one here for bigger letters. Just a little bit too big for that, so we won't use that one. So we're going to score halfway down, and what you're going to imagine is you're making a little groove. So we're going to keep it off the top just a touch. We'll strike it down there, and then we'll move that down again. Now normally I'd go, if I was going to do these letters, I'd do all these strikes now, but I'm not going to, just for the sake of this video for now. But it goes halfway on this one as well. But like I said, it's great, like if you're making a gate or something like that, add the date. It takes you 15 minutes, but it looks really, really posh. So, got those two scores in there now. The next thing for this one then would be to come from the other side. Alright, it's going to be a little awkward, I'm going to leave the camera there for now. We're going to cut down to the bottom of where we've just struck, if that makes sense. And we'll do the same the other way as well. And then what we have is a little chip of wood come out. And we can just, I've got to stand up. We'll just tidy up in there. And over the stool goes. And we'll do the same the other side as well. And I guess we're aiming for about 60 degrees. Obviously you can vary it. It depends on the thickness of your wood, depends on the size of your writing. So we've done the deeper bit there. Now we will do the in-between bit. We're just going to do this with hand pressure. Remember the grain's going that way. So if I struck that now, it might kind of pling, come out of there. So we're just going to push, and we'll do the same this side, and push, and get a nice slip of wood come out. Now we've got the ends to do now. So I don't know if you can sense how close we go. So I'm going to get a sharp, chisel. So I might use a bigger one than this when I'm doing them all. But I'm going to put it in there, in the corner there. And you can see the angle's kind of going down into it. And then I'm actually going to use it probably more like a knife than a chisel. Just take it out when I need to. And score that across there. Okay, so we'll do that with all of them now. Just tighten it at all. That, and then we'll do the same again. Remember so that side we're kind of angling in, that side we're angling in as well. And so we're using it like a knife. Just going to the points, trying to make sure that the deepest bit is in the middle, like that, just like that. And then let's use. I love these chisels I bought. I haven't bought many new chisels, but these are just gorgeous. So this is like little fantail, so I can number 3. And so we're gonna go in there, and we're gonna follow that line along to the other line, like that. And then let's do all that side actually, and then I can move the camera and show you the other side. Like that. And then from this side, like that. This side, like that. We'll go like that. Oops, slipped a little bit, nothing. Like that. Like that. Like that. Try not to flick like I just did then, it's a stupid thing to do. And then just tidy up. And what I don't want to do is have to come back to every letter and tidy them up. So I'm gonna, as I go now, just gonna get rid of any wispy bits. I hate wispy bits. And just make sure the bottom of the cut is clean. And you can be too critical of yourself when the paper is still around it, to be honest with you. It always looks a little bit better when the paper's gone. Not saying you shouldn't get it looking right, but don't be too fussy. And just in the bottom of that one there, didn't go quite deep enough on that bit. There we go, that's looking better. There we go, we have a H. So, the curves are obviously a bit more difficult. So I'm going to do all the straight bits, and because I've used lowercase letters, there isn't actually as many as I'd perhaps like. Okay, so the V is a great example of another easy letter actually, and I've just struck the middle of the thick bit, but I won't need to on the other side. I don't think I need to, well maybe I will. That. So just going along it nice and gently, pushing in. This is slightly smaller, double beveled. Chisel, straight one. There we go. Out you come. Just finish that corner off. So when you're doing these serifs, it's almost like you kind of follow the line and then you lift it up a bit, and it's that corner of the chisel there that you want in, and it should be going into stuff that's already cut on the other side then. Right, we've got to find some curved chisels now. Number 6 is normally a pretty good bet. Yeah, that worked for the O. So I'm going to go halfway in. And again halfway. That kind of matches up-ish. I mean, again, it's one of those things you can always be too fussy with. I kind of wish when I'd started that someone had said, well, I wish I'd just done some letter carving, because I kind of always put it off thinking it was going to be really difficult. And I remember the first time I tried it and I was like, oh, it's actually quite easy. And I was kind of disappointed in myself really, because I thought, oh, I wonder what I could have left my mark on. Done some Roman style graffiti, engraved it on some work I'd worked on, especially when I was doing oak balms and stuff. Just do these, we'll do this O together, and I'll speed it up again. Because I do worry that watching me carve might be a little bit like watching paint dry. Especially if it's not that tricky. Let's use... So this chisel doesn't match the curve, okay? We'll do this as an example of, you know, getting away with the chisels you have, and then I'll find one that will match the curve. If you have one that matches the curve perfectly, you can obviously just push it like we did with the straight ones really easily. If you haven't, what you can do is use the corner of your chisel like a knife. So we can go into here, and we'll push until we feel it connect up, and then as we go round, we know we're at the bottom of that groove with that corner, but you have to be really careful not to slip. There, and that's half of that done. Then we can flip it over and we can do the other half with the same chisel. Not as easy, and I will probably work from both sides, yes I will. So I'll work from the other side as well. So that is one way of doing it. If you haven't, so you don't have to have all the chisels. Don't tell my wife though, because I like buying lots of chisels. I have to have this chisel, or it won't look right. I mean, obviously having the right chisels to make it faster, but I think that works really well anyway. So, and you kind of slice in. So kind of, obviously when you slice wood, it kind of lowers the cutting angle, so it makes it kind of even sharper if you'd like. And actually, I'm better off the other way around with that. So I might do the other side of this O on this other O. Do exactly the same again. Look. So we're going round, trying to stay in the black halfway. Then we flip the chisel over so the curve's the other way up. We connect up with the other cut. We obviously have to go a little bit deeper in the middle, and we're going to stop there. We'll go to the other, this side of it now. And again, comes out like a nice little half moon. Actually, the one bit that's kind of doesn't look as good on that is where these two didn't connect up, and I used this smaller one in between. It looks like I've gone a little bit deep, but I'm fairly sure we can sort that out. We'll just go a little bit deeper with our connecting cuts, and it should make it look fine. Yep. Okay, so we're nearly done. We've just got the S to do, and obviously as you look over it you can see more and more and more, and actually seeing the little black bits left by the printer never makes you feel great, because you'll never get it all, but when we take this off it should look a little bit better anyway. I'm always like hypercritical of what I do. So just going to do the S's now. I'm going to start with the two serifs on the end, which I wouldn't normally do. If I find the chisel I wanted. So when I was doing this before, I haven't done this in a very logical way. If I'm doing lots of writing, carving it out, what I'll tend to do is do all the straight cuts, then all that angle cuts, then all that angle cuts, all the bottom serifs on the right hand side, all the one on the left hand side, and I'll kind of work across it like that. Although it can be nice to split it up and you finish words off and stuff, but the less times you have to put down and pick up a chisel, the better obviously, or the faster you'll become. And it just makes you more efficient. You'll notice in the videos as well that I do swap hands a lot. I read somewhere when I started carving that you've got to be able to work both ways round, and I tell you what, I'm glad I did just start like that and not kind of limit myself to one side, because I think that would have wrong one. That wouldn't have been so good. So like even that, see, I can go up into this top bit here as well. Into that, and come back on that one. Twist it round. Come down from there. Right, let's take the middle of this leather out. Use the biggest chisel. Side. Come out. With carving tools, I can never understand why people want matching sets. It's nice to see different handles, and I mean these have all got different handles. There's only a few that have got the same. I still can't see the chisel I want. I'll go for that. And we're just gonna we'll do this like we did before, where we're just kind of leaving the corner at the depth we want, and then we're sweeping it round. You've got to put a bit of pressure on, but not too much, and you don't want to slip out. There we go, onto the nice run of it there. We'll do the underside of this one, same chisel. So just using the corner. Like I said, it'd be better if I had the right chisel. If I was doing letter carving all the time, I'd make sure I did. But if I bought more chisels, I don't know how that would go down. Because I have about 300. So I'm going to go on the other side of these letters now. And because I'm better off working this way round, easier to flip the workpiece occasionally. S's are always a bit of a pain. And I imagine I might have a bit of tidying up to do. So it's kind of like chip carving, doing it this way. I'm not saying it's the right way to do it. I've not been professionally trained as a carver. I was trained as a carpenter. So, but it seems to work sometimes, he says. Let's get a little chisel in there. It's a nice little fantail. It's kind of grooved, curved as well. Main trick is not to slip, I think. Okay. Ooh, I hope that's what you wanted, Brett. Let's get a bit of white spirits on there, fetch that off now. Then we go a bit of a tidy up. Oh, I love it. I love it when it comes off. I know I shouldn't rush it, because if I do, it's actually hard to get off. So let's... Now it's a case of just, close the white spirits up before I get high. Now it's a case of just kind of looking at it. I might bring the light a bit closer actually. And seeing what improvements I could make on it. So I can see a few little bits. That E annoys me a little bit, but I think it's just actually the shape of the font. It's not too bad. I've got a little divot on the A there. I mean, this is probably the harshest anyone's ever going to look at it, so you don't have to worry too much. Obviously now would be a bad time to slip. And I mean, it's hand carved, so it's never going to be perfect, which is meant to be the charm, he says. That it's always tricky with vertical ones across like that. You don't want it too big. But also, it's quite hard to actually make it stand out. So I'm just pressing down with the chisel there, just to give it some definition, really. I'm hoping that'll be all right. Oh, and then you get the fear because you're kind of like your own worst critic. I think it'll be fine. Next stage, I'm going to give it some oil, let it dry, build up some layers. I'm going to use tongue oil. I don't know what he is using, but I'm guessing that's better be food safe round spoons that are going to be for food. I will prop it up on a couple of little sticks, stop it sticking to my board. I probably should put a glove on as well. Stupidly bought large instead of extra large. They do not fit very well. Right. Oh, killer. Oh. So you should always put some cardboard down. So you hope it kind of pops as it all goes on. So there we go, simple hand carved little sign there for someone. And like I said, it's a really easy way to add personalisation to anything you've made. It could be a chicken pen, it could be absolutely anything, putting a date or your name, and then years to come people will find it and think, I think it's a really lovely thing to find. It's when someone spent the time to carve something in. It doesn't take very long, especially if you're just doing the date or something like that. You don't need that many tools. You know, obviously I did have quite a few carving tools out. The more you've got, the easier it is. But it is really enjoyable. It's really therapeutic. So yeah, I think it's just a fun thing to do. So what I'd really like at the end of this video is I'd like someone to message me on here in the comments and tell me that they've done some writing carving because of this video. That would absolutely make my day. But I hope it hasn't been like watching paint dry. I hope you've learned something, or you know, you might do something differently. Let me know in the comments below. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. It does mean the world to me, and see you next time.